The grand hall of the imperial palace stretched so high that clouds formed near its ceiling. Princess Hana stood at the center, her violet skin glowing softly under the crystal lights. Around her, thousands of Valthian nobles watched in silence. Today was the day she would marry a human. Hana looked at her reflection in the polished floor. She was tall by human standards, nearly 7 feet, with 4 arms and eyes that could see in spectrums humans could not even imagine. Her people had ruled the stars for 10,000 years. Humans had only left their planet 200 years ago. They were children playing in a universe they did not understand. And now she was marrying one. The decision had been hers. When her father, Emperor Vrath, announced that a marriage alliance was needed to prevent war with the Terran coalition, Hana had volunteered immediately. Her older brother Tejan had been furious. He believed humans were weak, dangerous in their unpredictability. But Hana saw opportunity. A human husband would be easy to manage. She could use the marriage to gain political power while keeping the peace her father wanted. The music began. Slow, deep drums that made the floor vibrate. Hana turned toward the entrance. He walked in alone. Jiwon was small by Valthian standards. He barely reached 6 feet tall and had only 2 arms. His skin was pale, almost fragile-looking. He wore simple robes of white and gold, and his black hair was tied back neatly. His face was calm, pleasant even. He looked like a scholar, not a diplomat, certainly not anyone important. As he walked toward her, Hana noticed how he moved. There was no hesitation in his steps, no nervousness. Most humans trembled when they entered Valthian spaces for the first time. The size of everything, the weight of alien eyes watching them. But Jiwon walked as if he was taking a peaceful stroll through a garden. He reached the platform where she stood and bowed deeply. It was a perfect Valthian bow, showing respect without submission. "Princess Hana," he said in flawless Valthian language, "I am honored." His voice was soft, gentle. Hana felt herself relax slightly. This would be easier than she thought. The ceremony was traditional, lasting 3 hours. Jiwon stood patiently through all of it, never complaining about the length or the complex rituals. He spoke his vows clearly, promising to honor her, her family, and her people. When it was done, they were married. The feast afterward filled 12 halls. Hana sat at the high table with Jiwon beside her. Her brother Tejin sat on her other side, drinking heavily and glaring at the human. "So human," Tejin said loudly. "What exactly are your talents? What can you offer my sister besides your weak human body?" The nearby tables went quiet. Hana felt anger flash through her, but before she could respond, Jiwon smiled. "I study poetry, Prince Tejin," Jiwon said, "and I practice calligraphy. I grow flowers in my spare time. I am not a warrior like you. I am simply a man who appreciates beautiful things." He looked at Hana. "Which is why I am grateful to be here." Some nobles laughed politely at the compliment. Tejin snorted. "Poetry, calligraphy, flowers." Tejin shook his head. "My sister has married a decorator." "Still waters hide great depths," Jiwon said calmly, quoting an old Valthian proverb. "Is that not what your people say?" More laughter, this time genuine. Even Hana smiled. The human had a quick mind, at least, and he had deflected her brother's insult with grace. Tejin leaned closer to Jiwon, his massive frame looming over the human. "I could break you with one hand, poet." "I do not doubt it, Prince," Jiwon said, still smiling. "You are much stronger than I am. But then a hammer is stronger than a paintbrush. Both have their uses." Hana watched her brother's face turn darker purple with anger, but their father's voice boomed across the hall before Tejin could respond. "Enough." Emperor Vrath stood, raising his glass. "Today we celebrate peace. Let there be no more talk of strength or weakness. My daughter has made a wise choice. Her human husband shows intelligence and respect. That is what builds peace, not muscles and threats." Everyone drank. Tejin sat back, defeated for now. Jiwon simply returned to his meal, eating quietly. Later that night, Hana and Jiwon were escorted to their new quarters in the palace. The rooms were enormous, designed for Valthian royalty. Jiwon looked around, taking everything in. "This is larger than my entire home back on Earth," he said. "You will get used to it," Hana replied. She was studying him carefully now. "You handled my brother well tonight. He was testing me. It is natural. I am a stranger here." Jiwon walked to the window and looked out at the city below. "I mean no threat to anyone, Princess. I truly am just what I appear to be. A poet and a gardener?" "Yes," he turned and smiled at her. I know that seems useless to your people, but I believe peace needs poets as much as warriors, maybe more. Hana found herself wanting to believe him. He seemed so genuine, so harmless. Perhaps this marriage would work after all. We should establish some rules, she said. This marriage is political. I do not expect love, but I do expect respect. Of course, Jiwon agreed immediately. I will stay out of your way. Pursue your duties. I will pursue mine, which are learning, Jiwon said. Your culture fascinates me. Your language, your history, your art. I want to understand the Valtheon people. If I am to live here, I should know who you are. It was a reasonable answer. Hana nodded. Very well. You may have the East Wing for your personal use. I will have the West. We will meet for official functions as required. That sounds perfect. Jiwon bowed again. Thank you, Princess, for giving me a chance. After he left for his rooms, Hana sat alone on her balcony. Far below, the capital city glowed with lights. Somewhere out in space, human ships and Valtheon fleets watched each other warily. This marriage was supposed to stop them from destroying each other. She thought about Jiwon, his gentle smile, his soft voice, his talk of poetry and flowers. He was so small, so weak, so completely non-threatening. Hana felt relieved. She had worried that the humans would send someone difficult, a soldier perhaps, or an aggressive politician. Instead, they sent her a scholar, someone she could manage easily. In the weeks that followed, Jiwon settled into palace life. He spent his mornings in the royal library, reading everything he could about Valtheon history. He took language lessons and soon spoke better than most humans who had lived on Valth Prime for years. In the afternoons, he tended to a small garden he started in the east courtyard. He grew both earth flowers and Valtheon plants, mixing them together. Hana saw him occasionally at official dinners or ceremonies. He was always polite, always appropriate. He never demanded anything or caused problems. Her advisors approved of him. Even her father seemed pleased, only Taejin remained suspicious. He is too perfect, her brother said one day. No one is that harmless. Humans are not known for sending their weakest to do important work. You are paranoid, Hana replied. Jiwon is exactly what he appears to be. Accept it. But sometimes late at night, Hana would see Jiwon walking in the gardens. Even from her balcony, she could see how he moved. There was something about it, something she could not name. A precision to his steps, an awareness in how he held himself. She told herself she was imagining things. Jiwon was just a human poet who liked flowers, nothing more, nothing dangerous. She was completely certain of that. 6 months passed like a gentle stream. Princess Hana fell into a routine with her strange human husband. They were not lovers, but they were not enemies either. They existed in the same space, orbiting each other like distant planets. Jiwon kept to himself mostly. He expanded his garden until it covered the entire east courtyard. Hana would sometimes watch from her window as he worked the soil with his own hands, something no Valtheon noble would ever do. He seemed content with simple things. Books, plants, quiet mornings. But Hana was beginning to notice things. Small things at first. The way Jiwon learned the Valtheon language too quickly. Most humans needed years to master the complex grammar and multiple tones. Jiwon achieved fluency in 3 months. He claimed he had a good ear for languages that he had studied before coming to Valth Prime. Then there was his aide, Do-hyun. The man had come with Jiwon as part of his household staff. He was older, stern-faced, and treated Jiwon with a respect that seemed wrong for a servant. Sometimes Hana caught Do-hyun standing at attention when Jiwon entered a room, like a soldier greeting a superior officer. When she asked Jiwon about it, he laughed. Do-hyun is old-fashioned. He served in the military years ago. Old habits, it was a reasonable explanation. But it made Hana curious. She decided to investigate. Her closest friend and advisor, Lady Soman, helped her quietly look into Jiwon's background. What they found was frustratingly vague. He had been a diplomatic attaché on several human worlds. He had studied at Earth's finest universities. He had written papers on interspecies communication. Everything checked out, but there were gaps. 5 years here, 3 years there, where his records showed nothing. When Hana asked him about these periods, Jiwon said he had been traveling, studying, living simply. I needed to find myself, he explained with a smile. Those years were for personal growth, not career advancement. Again, reasonable. Again, Hana felt like she was missing something. The political situation was deteriorating. General Kubok, commander of the Third Fleet, had been pushing the Emperor to take aggressive action against human colonies in disputed space. He had support from many nobles who believed humans were expanding too quickly, taking resources that belonged to the Valtheon Empire. Hana found herself in council meetings, arguing for patience and diplomacy. Her position was strengthened by her marriage to Jiwon. She could point to him as proof that humans could be reasonable, peaceful, cooperative, but Kubok dismissed this. "Your husband is a poet," he said with contempt during one meeting. "He represents nothing except human weakness. They sent you their most useless specimen, hoping to soften your hearts while they build more warships." Hana defended Jiwon, but privately she understood Kubok's point. Why had the humans sent someone so unremarkable? If they wanted to impress the Valtheon Empire, why send a gardener? That evening she asked Jiwon directly. They were dining together, a weekly obligation they had established. "Why did they choose you?" Jiwon looked up from his meal. "Choose me for what?" "For this. The marriage. You are not a general or a famous leader. You are not even a senior diplomat." "Why you?" Jiwon set down his utensils carefully. "The Terran coalition needed someone who would not provoke your people. Someone peaceful. Someone who could live here without causing problems." He smiled. "I fit that description. But what if it does not work? What if there is war despite this marriage?" Something flickered across Jiwon's face. Just for a moment, his expression changed. It became harder, colder. Then it was gone, replaced by his usual gentle smile. "Then I suppose we will have failed," he said quietly, "and many people will die who did not need to." The way he said it made Hana's skin prickle. There was weight behind those words. Pain. Experience. Before she could ask more, Jiwon changed the subject to a book he had been reading. The moment passed. A week later, Hana attended a state dinner for visiting nobles from the outer systems. These were hardline traditionalists who disliked humans intensely. Jiwon had to attend as her husband. The evening was tense from the start. The nobles made pointed comments about human weakness, human greed, human stupidity. They did not address Jiwon directly, but every word was meant for him to hear. Jiwon endured it all with perfect calm. He smiled, he nodded, he spoke when spoken to. He was the perfect guest. Then someone tried to kill Hana. It happened quickly. A server, one who had been hired just for this event, approached with drinks. Hana reached for a glass. Jiwon's hand shot out faster than Hana had ever seen a human move and intercepted it. "Allow me, princess," he said smoothly, taking the glass himself. As he lifted it, his other hand brushed against the tray and somehow two glasses switched positions. It looked accidental, clumsy even. Jiwon took a sip from the glass that had been meant for Hana. His face remained calm, but his eyes sharpened. "This wine has gone bad," he announced. "Someone should check the kitchens." Security moved immediately. The server dropped the tray and ran. He was caught within seconds. When they tested the drinks, they found poison in one glass. The glass that Jiwon now held. The poisoner was interrogated. He confessed to being part of General Kubok's faction, acting without orders but inspired by the general's rhetoric about removing human influence. Hana stared at Jiwon. "How did you know?" "Lucky reflexes," Jiwon said with a shrug. The server's hands were shaking. It made me nervous, but Hana had seen it. The speed, the precision, the way he had switched the glasses as if he had practiced that exact move 1,000 times. That night she confronted him in their quarters. "Who are you really?" Jiwon was watering his plants, something he did every evening. "I am your husband. That is not an answer." He continued watering. "What do you want to know, Hana?" It was the first time he had used her name without her title. Something about it made the moment feel more real. "You move like a fighter," she said. "You react like someone trained for violence. Tonight you saved my life with moves that were not lucky. They were practiced." Jiwon set down the watering can. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he rolled up his sleeves. His arms were covered in scars. Long ones, short ones, burn marks, what looked like claw marks. The body of someone who had been hurt many times. "I told you I spent years traveling," Jiwon said softly. "That was true. But I did not tell you where or why." He rolled his sleeves back down. "I am here for peace, Hana. That is all that matters now." "But before?" "Before I was someone else." He met her eyes. "Can that be enough? Can you accept that I am trying to be better than I was?" Hana wanted to push harder, to demand the full truth. But something in his voice stopped her. There was genuine pain there, regret. If there is war, she said slowly, what will you do? Hope that it does not come to that, Ji-won replied. He returned to his plants. Hope that peace holds. It was not an answer, but Hana let it go. For now. Over the following weeks, she watched him more carefully. She noticed more things. The way he was always aware of exits in every room. How his eyes tracked movement even when he seemed relaxed. The fact that his gardener, a young man named Hyun-seo, moved with the same precise efficiency as Do-hyun. Hana also noticed that Ji-won somehow always knew about political developments before they were publicly announced. When she asked how, he said he liked to read reports and talk to people, but it was more than that. Ji-won understood Valtheon military thinking too well. During one dinner, Hana mentioned General Kubok was moving ships toward the border. She was worried about what it meant. He is trying to provoke a response, Ji-won said immediately. He wants the humans to fire first to give him justification for a larger conflict. But he is also overextending his supply lines. If your father recalls the Fifth Fleet from the northern sector, Kubok will have to pull back or risk being trapped. Hana stared at him. How do you know our fleet positions? Ji-won blinked as if realizing he had said too much. I read about it in the military journals in the library. Those journals do not contain current fleet positions. Ji-won smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. Then I must have guessed well. Lady Soman warned Hana to be careful. Your husband knows too much. He is too skilled. I think the humans sent you a spy. Perhaps, Hana agreed. Or perhaps they sent me exactly what we need. Someone who understands both sides. Or someone dangerous, Soman countered. Hana thought about Ji-won in his garden, gently caring for flowers. She thought about him reading poetry late at night. She thought about the scars on his arms and the speed with which he had saved her life. Maybe he is both, she said finally. The situation continued to worsen. General Kubok gained more support. Riots broke out in some cities, with angry crowds demanding action against human expansion. Hana's father looked older every day, the weight of preventing war crushing him, and through it all, Ji-won remained calm. He tended his garden. He read his books. He smiled his gentle smile, but Hana no longer believed he was harmless. She just did not know what he truly was. Not yet. It happened at dawn. Hana woke to the sound of explosions. Not close, but close enough. She ran to her window and saw smoke rising from the Imperial Palace's central tower. Ships were descending from the sky, military vessels bearing the markings of the Third Fleet. General Kubok had made his move. Hana dressed quickly and ran toward the throne room. She needed to reach her father. The corridors were chaos. Servants fled in terror. Palace guards ran toward the fighting, their weapons ready. She rounded a corner and nearly collided with Taejin. Her brother's face was dark with rage. Kubok has betrayed us, Taejin snarled. He has the Third and Seventh Fleets. He is claiming father is too weak, too corrupted by human influence. He is taking control. Where is father? Imprisoned in his own chambers. Kubok's soldiers hold the central palace. Taejin grabbed her arm. We need to run, sister. Get to the outer districts. Rally loyal forces. I will not abandon father. You cannot help him if you are dead. They heard boots approaching. Heavy armored steps. Kubok's elite troops. Taejin pulled Hana toward a side passage. This way, quickly. They ran through the servant corridors, Taejin leading. But more soldiers appeared ahead. They were trapped. Get behind me, Taejin ordered. He was a trained warrior, one of the best in the Empire. But there were 12 soldiers and only one of him. Then Ji-won stepped out of a side door. He looked the same as always. Simple robes, calm expression. But he was carrying something. A case long and narrow. This way, Ji-won said quietly. Poet, this is not the time. Taejin started. Move, now. Something in Ji-won's voice made them obey. They followed him through the door into what looked like a storage room. Ji-won sealed it behind them. They will cut through that in seconds, Taejin said. I know. Ji-won set down the case and opened it. Inside was a sword. It was not decorative, not ceremonial. It was pure function, a blade designed for killing. The metal was dark, the edge worn smooth from use. The handle was wrapped in old leather, shaped by years of gripping. Hana stared at it. Then at Ji-won, he was changing before her eyes. The gentle slope of his shoulders straightened. His relaxed posture became coiled, ready. His soft expression hardened into something cold and focused. "Who are you?" Hana whispered. Jiwon lifted the sword, testing its weight. "Someone I hoped I would never be again." The door exploded inward. Soldiers poured through. Taejin roared and charged to meet them. Jiwon moved. It was like watching water flow. Jiwon did not fight like a Valtheon with strength and power. He fought like smoke, like shadow. He was never where the soldiers expected. When they swung at him, he was already gone. When they thought they had him trapped, he slipped through gaps that should not exist. His sword moved in precise arcs. Every cut had a purpose. Every motion ended a threat. Valtheons were stronger than humans, faster. They had better reflexes and tougher bodies. But Jiwon fought like someone who had spent his entire life finding ways around those advantages. He struck joints and weak points. He used the soldiers' own momentum against them. He turned their numbers into a disadvantage in the tight space. In 30 seconds, all 12 soldiers were down. Dead or unconscious, Taejin stared, his own weapon still raised. "What are you?" Jiwon did not answer. He was checking the corridor. "More will come. We need to move. Answer me, human." Jiwon turned. His eyes were different now, colder. "I am someone who knows how to kill Valtheons. I have done it many times before. If you want to survive, follow me and stay quiet." He moved into the corridor. After a moment, Hana and Taejin followed. They moved through the palace like ghosts. Jiwon seemed to know every passage, every hidden route. When they encountered patrols, he avoided them. When avoidance was impossible, he struck fast and silent. "How do you know the palace layout?" Hana asked. "I studied it," Jiwon replied, "months ago. When I first arrived." "Why would a poet study palace defenses?" "Because I was never a poet." They reached a secure room deep in the residential section. Jiwon sealed them inside. Do-hyun was there along with Hyun-seo and 3 other servants. They were armed now, wearing tactical gear. "Status?" Jiwon asked. "3rd and 7th fleets have declared for Kyubuk," Do-hyun reported. "The Emperor is imprisoned. Admiral Yuna and the Home Fleet are trying to enter orbit, but they are being blocked. Lord Chanwoo has declared support for the coup. It is spreading." Jiwon processed this calmly, like a commander receiving battlefield intelligence. Then he turned to Hana. "Your palace has emergency communication arrays. If we can reach the Eastern Tower, we can broadcast. Rally loyal forces. Maybe turn this around." "That tower is on the opposite side of the palace," Taejin said. "Through the most heavily defended sections." "I know. It is. Suicide? Probably." Jiwon looked at Hana. "But it is also the best chance to save your father and stop a civil war." Hana's mind was reeling. Everything she thought she knew about Jiwon was a lie. The gentle husband who grew flowers and read poetry. That man did not exist, or did he? She thought about the scars on his arms, the pain in his voice when he talked about his past, the way he had said he was trying to be better than he was. "Who are you?" she demanded. "I want the truth. All of it." Jiwon was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "My name is Jiwon." That part was true. "Before I came here, I commanded special operations for the Terran Coalition. My specialty was deep infiltration of Valtheon territory." He met her eyes. "During the border conflicts, I led teams behind enemy lines. We destroyed supply depots, killed officers, disrupted communications. I personally killed over 300 Valtheon soldiers." The room went deathly quiet. "You," Taejin breathed. "You are the silent blade." Jiwon nodded slowly. Hana felt like the floor had dropped away. The silent blade was a nightmare story that Valtheon soldiers told. A human ghost who struck from nowhere, who could not be caught, could not be stopped. Dozens of military operations had been ruined by him. Hundreds dead. "You killed my soldiers," Taejin said, his voice shaking with rage. "My friends. My brothers in arms." "Yes," Jiwon said simply. "We were at war. They were trying to kill me and my people. I was trying to stop them. That is what war is. And now you are here? In our home? Married to my sister?" "Yes." Jiwon's expression did not change. "Because the war was going to destroy both our civilizations. Someone needed to try something different. The coalition chose me because I understood Valtheon tactics, Valtheon thinking. I could bridge the gap by lying," Hana shouted. "By pretending to be someone you are not." "Yes," Jiwon agreed. "I lied. I pretended to be harmless. Because if I had come here as the silent blade, you would have rejected me. The marriage would have failed." the war would have continued. He looked at her steadily. I came here as a weapon trying to become a tool for peace. And now? Hana asked. What are you now? Right now? Ji-won glanced at his sword. Right now I am what is necessary. Kyubak will kill your father. He will use that to justify a full war against humanity. Millions will die, unless we stop him. We? Hana laughed bitterly.
Why would you help us?
We are your enemies. No, Ji-won's voice was firm. You are my wife. Your people are the people I chose to live with. The war's over, Hana. I ended it when I came here. I will not let it start again. Taejin stepped forward, his weapon raised. I should kill you where you stand. You could try, Ji-won said calmly, but you would probably fail. I am very good at staying alive, and even if you succeeded, it would not help your father. Taejin, stop, Hana ordered. Her mind was spinning, but one thing was clear. We need him. Whatever he is, whatever he did, right now we need him. You cannot trust him. Can you get us to the communications tower? Hana asked Ji-won. Yes. Can you really fight through Kyubak's forces? Yes. Then I am not trusting you. I am using you. She stepped closer. You said you came here as a weapon. Fine, be a weapon. Get me to that tower. Help me save my father. And then we will deal with what you are. Ji-won studied her face. Then he nodded. Understood, he turned to his team. Standard breach and clear. Do-hyun, you are on point with me. Hyunso, protect the princess and prince. No unnecessary kills. We are saving this empire, not destroying it. Since when do you care about unnecessary kills? Taejin spat. Ji-won looked at him. Since I spent 6 months trying to become someone different. It would be a shame to waste the effort. He moved to the door, his sword ready. The gentle scholar was completely gone. In his place was something sharp and dangerous and utterly focused. Stay close, Ji-won said. Do exactly as I say. If I tell you to run, run. If I tell you to hide, hide. Trust me or do not, but obey me. That is how we survive. Hana looked at this stranger wearing her husband's face. She thought about the lies, the deception, the blood on his hands. Then she thought about her father imprisoned. About General Kyubak destroying everything. About the war that would consume worlds. Lead the way, she said. Ji-won smiled. It was not his gentle smile. It was the smile of someone who knew exactly how dangerous he was, with pleasure, and they stepped out into the war. The palace had become a war zone. Smoke filled the corridors. Bodies lay where they had fallen, both rebels and loyalists. The beautiful halls that had witnessed 10,000 years of peace were now soaked in blood. Ji-won moved through it like he was born to it. Hana followed close behind, with Taejin and the others forming a protective circle. She watched Ji-won work and realized this was what he truly was. Not a scholar, not a gardener. This, a weapon moving through chaos with absolute purpose. They came to a junction. Ji-won held up a hand, stopping them. He tilted his head, listening. Then he gestured to Do-hyun. The older man nodded and moved forward silently. 30 seconds later, Do-hyun returned. 8 soldiers, guarding the approach to the east wing. Heavy weapons and formation? Ji-won asked. Standard defensive. 2 at the entrance, 6 in cover. Ji-won thought for a moment. Then he looked at Taejin. Can you be loud? Taejin bristled. What? I need a distraction. Something that draws their attention. You are a prince and a warrior. If they see you, they will focus on you. That gives me an opening. You want me to be bait? I want you to be what you are. Brave and strong and dangerous, Ji-won met his eyes. But yes, bait. For a moment, Hana thought Taejin would refuse. Then her brother growled. Fine. But if you get me killed, human, I will haunt you. Fair enough, Ji-won explained the plan quickly. Taejin would charge from the main corridor, drawing fire. Ji-won and Do-hyun would flank through the side passages. Hyunso and the others would protect Hana. It was simple, risky, it relied on split-second timing. What if it fails? Hana asked. Then we improvise, Ji-won said. Ready? They moved into position. Hana's heart pounded. She had been in political battles before, but never real ones. Never where people died. Taejin charged. He was magnificent. 4 arms wielding weapons, roaring a challenge. Moving with the power and grace of a trained Valtheon warrior. The soldiers turned, shouted warnings, opened fire. Taejin's shields absorbed the first shots. He closed the distance, crashing into them like an avalanche. From the side, Ji-won appeared. He was so fast. The soldiers never saw him coming. His sword moved in precise arcs, finding gaps in armor, striking vulnerable points. Where Taijin was overwhelming force, Jiwan was surgical precision. Together, they were devastating. The fight lasted less than a minute. When it was over, all 8 soldiers were down. Taijin was breathing hard, bleeding from a wound on his shoulder. Jiwan was barely winded. "You fight well, human," Taijin admitted grudgingly. "So do you, Prince." Jiwan was already moving. "But we need to keep going. That noise will bring more." They moved deeper into the palace. The route Jiwan chose made no sense to Hana at first. They doubled back, went through strange passages, avoided the most direct path. "Why are we going this way?" she asked. "Because it is what they will not expect," Jiwan replied. "Kubok knows the palace as well as anyone. He will predict the obvious routes and block them. So we take the stupid route, the one that seems wrong. How do you know it will work?" "Because I studied him. Months ago. Read his military records, his tactical assessments. Kubok is brilliant, but he is also proud. He thinks in terms of optimal solutions. He will not guard the inefficient paths as heavily because he cannot imagine anyone choosing them." "You studied him? Why?" Jiwan glanced back at her. "Because I knew there was a chance this would happen. Kubok was always the greatest threat to peace. So I prepared." Hana did not know whether to be impressed or horrified. Jiwan had been planning for war while pretending to water flowers. They encountered more soldiers. Each time Jiwan found a way through. Sometimes by avoiding them. Sometimes by striking fast. He never wasted movement. Every action had a purpose. Hana noticed something else. Jiwan was not killing everyone. When soldiers surrendered, he let them live. When they could be knocked unconscious instead of killed, he chose that option. During a brief rest, she asked him about it. "I thought you were a weapon," she said. "I am." Jiwan was checking his sword, wiping blood from the blade, but even weapons can choose their targets. "These soldiers are not my enemies. They are following orders, believing they are doing the right thing. I will not kill them unless I must. You killed 300 of my people during the war." "Yes." He met her eyes. "And I regret everyone. War forced me to make terrible choices. This is not war yet. I still have room to choose better." Taijin overheard this. "You expect me to believe you feel regret? You the Silent Blade?" "Believe what you want," Jiwan said quietly. "But I did not come here to escape consequences. I came here to try to build something different." "To be different? By lying to everyone?" "Yes." Jiwan stood, resheathing his sword. "The coalition asked for volunteers for this mission. They wanted someone who understood Valtheon military thinking. Who could function in your culture? Who could protect the diplomatic initiative if it failed?" He looked at Hana. "They asked for the Silent Blade. I said yes because I thought maybe, if I could prevent the war from restarting, it would mean something. All those deaths would not be meaningless. So this was always a military operation?" Hana felt betrayed all over again. "No." Jiwan's voice was firm. "It was a genuine attempt at peace. The coalition wanted peace. So did I. The military component was insurance, nothing more. I really did come here hoping to be just a poet and a gardener, hoping that side of me could be real. Was any of it real?" Hana demanded. "The garden? The poetry? The kind words? All of it." Jiwan looked at her steadily. "I was not pretending to enjoy those things. I was trying to become them, to make them my truth instead of the killing." Before Hana could respond, Doyun whistled a warning. More soldiers approaching, they moved again. The journey became a blur of corridors and fights, of hiding and running. Jiwan led them through it all with absolute confidence. This was his world. This was what he had been trained for. Finally, they reached the eastern tower. The communications array was at the top, 50 floors up. The stairwell was defended, but not as heavily as it should have been. "Kubok did not expect us to get this far," Jiwan observed. "He split his forces to hold the central palace and hunt your father's supporters. This tower is a secondary concern." "His mistake," Taijin said. They fought their way up. Floor by floor, battle by battle. Taijin was wounded several times but refused to stop. Jiwan seemed untouchable, always moving, always exactly where he needed to be. On the 43rd floor they ran into a major checkpoint. 20 soldiers, heavy weapons, prepared defenses. There was no way around them. "This is it," Jiwan said. "We go through them or we do not get through at all." 20 against 7, Dohyun noted. "Bad odds. I have faced worse." Jiwan looked at Hana. "Stay in cover. No matter what happens, get to that communications room. Tell your people what is happening. Your voice matters more than mine." What are you going to do? Jiwan smiled his dangerous smile. What I was trained to do. Win impossible fights, he charged. It should not have worked. 20 trained Valtheon soldiers should have overwhelmed one human easily. But Jiwan did not fight like a human was supposed to fight. He used everything. The environment, their own weapons, their expectations. He threw grenades taken from fallen soldiers. He turned their own fire back on them by using their shields. He was everywhere and nowhere, moving too fast to track. Do-hyun and the others joined the fight. Taejin roared and charged. The narrow corridor became chaos. Hana watched Jiwan move through the battle. She saw now what had made him legendary among Valtheon soldiers. It was not strength or speed. It was intelligence applied to violence. Every weakness exploited, every advantage maximized. Humans were weaker than Valtheons, slower in a straight line, less durable. But Jiwan fought like someone who had spent his entire life learning how to turn those disadvantages into weapons. He never fought fair. He never gave his opponents time to use their strengths. He was chaos itself, impossible to predict or counter. The fight lasted 3 minutes. When it was over, the checkpoint was breached. Most of the soldiers were alive, unconscious or wounded, but not dead. Jiwan was bleeding from a dozen cuts. But he was still standing. Go, he said to Hana. Now, while we have time. They ran up the remaining floors. The communications room was at the top, sealed but not heavily guarded. Jiwan's team breached it quickly. Inside, Hana found the controls for the planetary broadcast system. Her hands shook as she activated it. This was her moment. This was where she could change everything. She looked at Jiwan. He nodded encouragingly. Hana began to speak. She told the Empire what was happening. That General Kubok had betrayed them. That the Emperor was imprisoned. That this coup was not about strength or protecting the Empire. It was about one man's ambition. She told them where her father was being held. She called on Admiral Yuna and the loyal fleets to act. She invoked ancient laws and oaths, and she told them about her husband. I know many of you see Jiwan as weak, she said, a human who writes poetry and grows flowers. But today I learned the truth. He is the soldier you call the Silent Blade, the warrior who killed hundreds of our people during the war. She paused, letting that sink in. Then she continued. He came here as an enemy trying to become a friend. He set aside his sword and tried to build peace. And when that peace was threatened, not by humans but by our own people, he took up his sword again. Not to destroy us, to save us, she looked at Jiwan. The Emperor was being held in the central palace in his own throne room. General Kubok had turned it into a fortress. Dozens of soldiers, heavy weapons, shields, and defenses. It was designed to withstand a siege. Jiwan studied it from a distance, using surveillance equipment that his team had hidden months ago. Always prepared, always planning for the worst. A frontal assault would be suicide, Taejin said. Even with Admiral Yuna's forces landing, we cannot breach that quickly enough. Kubok will kill father the moment he realizes he is losing. Then we do not assault, Jiwan said. We infiltrate. Impossible. Kubok knows all the secret passages. He will have them guarded. He knows the Valtheon passages. Jiwan pulled up a schematic on his portable terminal. But 6 months ago, my team made some additions. Just in case. The schematic showed new tunnels, ones that had not existed before. Maintenance passages that Jiwan's people had quietly carved while pretending to repair the palace systems. Hana stared at it. You have been planning this since you arrived. Planning for it, Jiwan corrected. Hoping I would never need it, but yes. I did not know if the threat would come from outside or inside, but I knew a threat would come eventually. Peace is never guaranteed. How did you do this without anyone noticing? Very carefully. Very slowly. And with people who know how to be invisible. He pointed at the schematic. This passage comes up directly behind the throne room. If we move fast, we can extract your father before Kubok reacts. That is still a small team against dozens of soldiers, Do-hyun noted. Which is why we do not fight them all. Jiwan looked at Taejin. How badly do you want to punch Kubok in the face? Taejin grinned, a fierce expression. Very badly. Good. Because I need you to challenge him. Publicly. Valtheon Honor Code says he has to accept, right? A formal challenge? Yes, but Kubok is a master warrior. I am good, but he is better. You do not need to beat him. You just need to keep him busy. Jiwan turned to Hana. Can you broadcast a challenge? From here? Yes, the communications room gives us access to all palace systems. Then we do it simple. Taijin challenges Qbok to single combat for the Emperor's freedom. Traditional rules. While they fight, my team and I go in through the hidden passage and extract your father. By the time Qbok realizes what happened, we will be gone. He will never accept, Hana said. He knows it is a distraction. He will accept, Jiwan replied, because refusing a formal challenge would destroy his legitimacy. He is claiming to save Valtheon honor and tradition. If he hides behind his soldiers, that claim dies. His support will collapse. It was a good plan. Risky, but good. Hana looked at her brother. Are you willing? Taijin nodded. For father? Always, they prepared quickly. Hana drafted the challenge, making it formal and public. Taijin readied himself for battle. Jiwan assembled his team for the extraction. Before they moved, Hana pulled Jiwan aside. If this fails, she said quietly, if Qbok wins, what will you do? Improvise, Jiwan said. It is what I am best at. I am serious, he met her eyes. So am I. If the plan fails, we adapt. We find another way. I did not survive this long by giving up. Why are you doing this? Really, you could have stayed hidden. Let us fight our own battles. Why risk yourself? Jiwan was quiet for a moment. Because 6 months ago I meant my wedding vows. I promised to honor you, your family, and your people. I meant it. This is me keeping that promise, and even though we never, Hana struggled with the words. Love? Jiwan smiled softly. No, we are not in love. But we are partners. We are trying to build something together, even if we are not sure what it is yet. That is worth protecting. Before Hana could respond, Dohyun signaled that they were ready. Hana returned to the communications room and broadcast the challenge. Her brother's voice, strong and clear, rang out across the palace and beyond. General Qbok, you claim to defend Valtheon honor, but you hide like a coward behind stolen power. I, Prince Taijin, challenge you to single combat. Face me or be known forever as a traitor who fears a fair fight. The response came quickly. Qbok's voice full of contempt. Prince Taijin, so eager to die, very well. I accept your challenge. Meet me in the grand courtyard. Let us settle this the old way. Jiwan nodded with satisfaction. He took the bait. Move now, they split up. Taijin went to face Qbok, with a security team to ensure the rules were followed. Jiwan, Dohyun, Hyunseo, and 2 others entered the hidden passage. Hana stayed in the communications room, coordinating and watching through security feeds. The passage was tight, barely wide enough for one person. It was meant for emergency use only. They moved in darkness, guided by instruments. On the security feed, Hana watched Taijin enter the courtyard. Qbok was waiting, a massive figure in full combat armor. Even for a Valtheon, he was large, powerful, dangerous. The fight began. Taijin fought brilliantly. He used every technique he knew, every trick he had learned. But Qbok was better. Stronger, faster, more experienced. Within minutes, Taijin was losing. But those minutes were enough. Jiwan's team reached the throne room from below. They came up through a hidden panel, emerging directly behind the Emperor's prison. The guards never saw them coming. It was not a fight. It was a surgical extraction. Jiwan moved through the soldiers like wind, disabling them silently. His team worked in perfect coordination, honed by years of operations together. They reached the Emperor. He was weak, beaten, but alive. Hyunseo helped him up while Jiwan covered them. That was when Qbok's second-in-command noticed. He shouted an alarm. Go! Jiwan ordered. Get him out! His team ran with the Emperor, moving back toward the hidden passage. Jiwan stayed behind, holding the entrance. Soldiers poured in, and he met them alone. Hana watched from the security feed, her heart in her throat. Jiwan should not have been able to hold that position. Dozens of soldiers against one human, but he did. He used the narrow entrance as a choke point, forcing them to come at him 1 or 2 at a time. His sword never stopped moving. He was a storm of steel and fury, and nothing got past him. In the courtyard, Qbok heard the alarm. He realized what was happening. With a roar of rage, he struck Taijin down and ran toward the palace. Jiwan saw him coming on his tactical display. He spoke into his communicator. Emperor is secure. Collapsing position now. He threw a device into the passage and ran. The explosion sealed it behind him, cutting off pursuit, but it also cut off his own escape route. Qbok found him in a side corridor. The general was bleeding, furious, and armed with a massive blade. You, Qbok snarled. The human pet. You did this. Yes, Jiwan said simply. He raised his sword. Are you going to talk about it or do something? Kubok charged. He was everything a Valtheon warrior should be. Powerful, fast, skilled, and relentless. His blade cut through the air with enough force to split stone. Jiwan was smaller, weaker, slower. But he was also smarter. And he had been fighting Valtheons his entire adult life. He did not meet Kubok's strength with strength. He evaded, redirected, struck at angles that avoided direct confrontation. It was not honorable fighting. It was not glorious. It was simply effective. The battle moved through the corridor. Kubok grew more frustrated, swinging harder but hitting nothing. Jiwan was always just out of reach, always landing small cuts that bled and weakened. Stand still and fight like a warrior. Kubok roared. Why? Jiwan replied calmly. I am not a Valtheon. I do not have to fight like one. He moved in close, too close for Kubok's large blade to be effective. His own sword found gaps in the general's armor. Precise strikes to joints, to vulnerable points. Kubok fell to one knee. Jiwan's blade was at his throat. Finish it, Kubok spat. Kill me, human. Jiwan looked at him for a long moment. Then he lowered his sword. No. What? I said no. Jiwan stepped back. You lose, General, but you do not die. You are going to stand trial. You are going to face justice. And you are going to live long enough to see the peace you tried to destroy succeed. You think there can be peace after this? Yes, Jiwan said. I think there must be, because the alternative is too terrible to accept. Security forces arrived, led by Admiral Yuna. They took Kubok into custody. The coup was over. Jiwan found Hana in the communications room. She ran to him, then stopped, unsure. He was covered in blood, exhausted, still carrying his sword. Your father is safe, he said. The medical team is with him. He will recover. Thank you, Hana said. Then softer. I do not know what to think about you. About any of this. Neither do I, Jiwan admitted. He looked at his sword, at the blood on the blade. I hoped I would never use this again. I hoped the poet and gardener could be real. But here we are. Was it all a lie? No. Jiwan met her eyes. The lie was thinking I could completely leave this behind. But the poetry, the gardens, the peace I wanted, that was all real. Both versions of me are real. I just have to learn how to be both. Over the following weeks, the Empire stabilized. Emperor of Wrath recovered and resumed his throne. Kubok and his conspirators were tried. Some were executed. Others, including Kubok himself, were imprisoned. The revelation of Jiwan's identity caused controversy. Many demanded he be tried for war crimes. Others argued he had saved the emperor and prevented civil war. The trial was held in the Grand Court. Jiwan stood accused of murder, deception, and operating as an enemy agent. The evidence was clear. He had killed hundreds of Valtheons during the war.